Sukkah, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud. Let me start again, sorry. Sukkah, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud. This Mishnah discusses the concept of one person pronouncing, reading, saying something, and through the principle of shomea ka'ona, by listening, it's as if a listener has actually said the words. The listener would then fulfill their duty. Moitzi achirim. And here we discuss what is the principle behind Hallel. Would the same start again. Sukkah, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud. This Mishnah discusses the mitzvah of Hallel, that we've mentioned in previous Mishnahs, but also using the principle of shomea ka'ona, which means if someone is reciting Hallel and someone else is listening, if the listener has kavanah to be yotze the mitzvah, and indeed the person reciting whatever they're reciting has kavanah to allow that listener to be mekayim the mitzvah, we have the principle of shomea ka'ona. By listening to something, it's as if one actually said the words, and therefore one fulfills one's duty. Typically in Kiddush, where one person says Kiddush, and the other people, by listening, fulfill their obligation. Says the Mishnah, someone who had an eved, that's an eved Kanani, mentioned previously, as a non-Jewish individual who becomes an eved, oy isha, or a lady, oy cotton, or a child, makrin oisei, saying, reciting Hallel on their behalf, and the individual is listening. Oiner acharein mashen omrim. The individual must recite himself all the words of Hallel. He explains the Bartanura. Mi she'ein chayiv b'dover, someone who himself or herself is not obliged in the mitzvah, cannot recite, in this case it's Hallel, and enable the listener to be mekayim the mitzvah. Moitzi the acherim, he cannot enable the other people to fulfill the mitzvah. A child clearly is not mechuyev as an adult is, but also an isha and an eved kanani. We've mentioned this principle before. The Tosfos Yontov mentions that they, an isha, an eved kanani, would be exempt from the mitzvah of Hallel, because it's mitzvahs aseh shehazman garoma, any positive mitzvah dependent upon time, which Hallel would be. An isha and an eved kanani would be exempt, as they themselves are exempt from this mitzvah. They cannot recite Hallel and the listener be mekayim the mitzvah just by listening, shomea ka'ona, and therefore in this instance they'd have to say the words of Hallel, allowing the listener to repeat after them the words of Hallel, and thereby the listener would be mekayim the mitzvah. Says the Mishnah, however, Usihilo ma'era, strong words, it should be a curse on him. Why? Shelo lomad, such an individual who has to be mekayim the mitzvah of Hallel by having these individuals reciting for him Hallel and then he himself repeating it. Shelo lomad, this individual didn't learn sufficiently to be mekayim the mitzvah of Hallel himself. That is not a good thing, and therefore the Lashon usilo ma'era, a curse on him. An adult man, however, that would be the minig, where one person, a male, could be Makayim, could recite Hallel for another individual, and in that case, like in Kiddush, the listener could just listen and would be Makayim the mitzvah. However, concludes the Mishnah, Im hoyo godol makre oisai, which is perfectly in order. It's not a curse on an individual like that, because that is the norm. If an adult male was reciting Hallel for him, oine achrov halaluka. After each pasuk, the listener should say Hallelujah. Says the Bartanura, Shekach hoyu regilim lanos. This is the way they used to respond after each pasuk of Hallel, which was said by in this case, the Chazan perhaps, Al kol dova v'dova, on every matter, particularly here on every pasuk, they would say Hallelujah. However, the Tiferes Yisrael points out, V'hu idna, nowadays lo noagu kach, we don't have this minhag, and the standard procedure is for every individual to actually say Hallel themselves. That concludes the Mishnah.